Welcome back, Congressman Wenstrup. Great having you in studio. I always enjoy our conversations.
Thanks, Brian. Always good to be in and have a chance to speak to your audience and my constituents.
And hopefully solve the problems of the world. If only the powers that be would listen to us, because, we try to use logic and reason to solve problems, and they seem to be doing things that intentionally are designed to harm us. And I think that's nowhere evidenced more clearly than the environmental practices which are leading to power outages and what they're anticipating this year for us, rolling blackouts. What Germany is currently doing, which is putting coal plants back online because their Russian oil and gas has dried up. These are all policies and changes that are brought about by, again, self-inflicted wounds. The only reason coal isn't being produced is because they said, we're not going to do it anymore. Global warming, we're all going to die. Well, I guess when people are really real-time dying because of a massive amount of problems we have going on in the world, energy crisis being one of them, food crisis, which is only going to get worse, and, of course, let's start with the inflationary pressures that every single man, woman, and child is dealing with right now. Is there really anything that we can do to get rid of this inflation other than raise the federal interest rates to like Jimmy Carter eras, like 19, maybe 18, 20%, Congressman?
Yeah, there's plenty. And I think there was a comment that we heard there for a second. Republicans need to have a plan. We have a plan. As a matter of fact, on every issue, energy, health care, we have task forces right now. We've been working. We've been having more hearings than our actual committees have, just amongst Republicans, in an effort to produce policy, pro-growth policy for America, but policy that we can hopefully bring out next year if we take back the House. But going to your question, first of all, let's get back to U.S. energy, domestic energy, being our source of energy, which we were there, and Biden has taken that away. I said the other day, Brian, until Air Force One can actually fly on solar power alone, I think this administration really ought to take a good look at how we need fossil fuels, which, by the way, Secretary of Energy couldn't even say it. She said at one point we were buying Russian oil because we needed it for Alaska and Hawaii. You turn loose Alaska, you don't have to worry about
That's bat crap insanity right there.
To hear that.
Yes, that is insanity.
Yeah. So we're talking about that. And when the president talks about increasing taxes and increasing taxes on evil corporations, guess what?
That makes it worse.
They leave the country. Then you have fewer people working. And we've had no inversion since the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that we put in place. Nobody has left the country. Burger King was probably the last.
And let us not overlook, Congressman Wenstrup, the highest tax revenues into government. Right. Record high receipts.
Because more people were working, more companies were investing in expansion.
Yeah.
This is what happens. There's a cause and effect that's been proven over and over again. We weren't competing globally. Now he wants to turn things more outside the country.
Well, and let us focus on those evil oil companies that Bernie Sanders wants to put a 95% windfall tax on. The only reason they're not producing, and the only reason they are enjoying very substantial profits, is because they are not investing that money in future projects, because they keep being told over and over and over, you're not allowed. We don't want you in business. They said it to their face. We hope you die and wither on the vine, kind of thing.
Campaign promise from Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So in addition to that, what we're dealing with is we have all these unobligated dollars that are out there from their COVID package that was passed. They're just sitting out there. How about taking them back and reduce the deficit?
If you just got rid of the fraud involved with the PPP loans, if we could just recover that money, we'd have a nice, healthy, multi-billion-dollar stack of extra laying around.
And fraud from the unemployment benefits that are out there. It was just rampant.
So sad.
Democrats don't want to do anything about it. When we offered a proposal, when they were voting on Build Back Better in committee, in Ways and Means Committee, they all voted our proposal down to fight fraud. Unbelievable. There's also, under this administration, a trade moratorium. So what's that mean is we have fewer goods and we have fewer exports, which is a thing that drives our economy.
Yeah.
More exports. But also, when it comes to getting things out onto market, like we saw with Operation Warp Speed, right? If we can cut through red tape, allow innovation, new products to be developed, get them out there, not just pharmaceuticals, but other innovations too. We just go through too much red tape in this America, and it hurts our economy.
Well, you could do an Operation Warp Speed with the with oil production.
Oh, yes.
Approved pipelines like that Virginia pipeline, which is 90% done, but for this environmental litigation, and they may say it's going to get canceled after investing billions. Go ahead and finish that one. XL Pipeline's pretty much almost done, although I think everybody believes that is a completely dead deal by now. I imagine you could still resurrect it. That would provide us with at least additional jobs and revenue and move the oil that is coming out of the ground safer, a more environmentally correct way of doing it rather than Warren Buffett's rail cars, and benefit the United States economy. I mean, how about that? Petroleum production, the idea of actually manufacturing gasoline. They're at 94% capacity. We haven't built a full-size petroleum production facility since 1977. I mean, this is crazy.
It is. Well, and then you take what you were just saying before. Okay, so you want to shut down a pipeline so that we can transport what we can get through trucking and rail.
Right.
As though that's cleaner.
I know. That's been my point all along. If you want to save the environment and reduce carbon, we all know you have to start with the simple proposition and fact that the oil is and has been and will continue to come out of the ground and get burned by some end user. They're not going to stop producing the oil in Canada simply because it won't go through our pipeline. Like, the hell with you. We'll ship it over to the east or to the west coast and put it on a ship and send it to China.
Yeah, and we do energy cleaner than anybody else in the world, so it's just kind of ridiculous what we're dealing with there. And then the other point we have a 6-point plan, if you will. We got to quit rewarding people to not work. That is not helping our economy whatsoever. And even if you could go back to work and make a little bit more, but the employer wants 40 hours a week from you, people weigh out the differences. They're not, Americans, they're not stupid. They're doing the math too. But we want to keep doing this, and you act like you're helping people, and at the end of the day, you're making them more dependent. So all of these things are leading to the problems that we have. And Biden likes to say it's Putin's price hike. It's all about Putin. He's the one that aided and abetted Putin. If you think about it, did Putin go into Ukraine under Trump? No. He walked into Crimea under Obama, and Obama's response was, "Well, we'll send you some MREs and blankets, Ukraine, and you put up a good fight." And nothing under Trump. Even Bill Maher brought this up.
Yeah.
He said, you got to ask yourself this question. And so, now you get the Biden administration and you see the things that he's done where he says, oh, guess what? I'm going to take Trump's sanctions off of you for your Nord Stream pipeline, and I'm going to shut down our Keystone pipeline. You can't make this up.
Yeah. And yet it was Trump who was allegedly colluding with the Russians, Congressman.
Yeah.
Which all it was a 2-year lie. At 24/7 in the news, they disproved it. Said nope, actually he wasn't.
And actually, I think this is the most politically disgusting event that has taken place in my lifetime. And I lived through Watergate, and what they did, and the level that they went to try and get rid of Donald Trump. And I even said during impeachment, normally in America, if we lose elections, we buckle up and we get ready for the next one. But they couldn't do that. And it was all about continuing to try and get Donald Trump out of office because they lost an election.
I'd like to have $1 for every time Trump's name came up in the recent rounds of January 6th hearings they're having, without the benefit of any other witnesses, without the benefit of really a defense. Someone had commented, if that was me as a prosecutor trying a case, I have all of the witnesses that I've lined up that speak what I want them to say, and not a single rebuttal witness will be presented. There will be no defense of anything. There will be no examination of the Capitol Hill Police's behavior. There'll be no examination of the FBI's behavior. I'd be 1,000 wins to nothing. He said I'd win every single case as a federal prosecutor.
Sure.
That's exactly what's lined up here. I haven't even bothered watching it because I know I'm not going to see any side of the other side. No. It's a foregone conclusion.
No, and I certainly didn't want to add to their ratings and make them feel like they're making a difference, because I think more people are understanding. And we can talk about more of those details. I think we're coming up on a break.
We are. Very astute of you. I was just getting ready to do my little hand wave. We've got to take a quick commercial break today. Congressman Wenstrup in studio to the bottom of the hour when Christopher Smitherman returns. How come the Republicans didn't vote on endorsing him over the weekend? We'll get the answer to that question coming up. And, what's going on with this campaign? In the meantime, Congressman Wenstrup talking about the, let's move over to the issues of, say, gun control. I know on break you were talking about this current commission. They were not interested at all in looking into the Capitol security issues that are on January 6th. Maybe the involvement of FBI officials, which many allege happened. Maybe the fact that that side door was left wide open and a Capitol police officer was standing there by it, the one that normally isn't used by the public, and letting people in. Nancy Pelosi's being the head of the Capitol security and not even having her notes or information brought forth by the committee in spite of the fact that it was asked for. This is a kangaroo court if I've ever seen one. But you offered an amendment to the to one of the bills involving security, and specifically with reference to the congressional baseball shooting. You were there 5 years, the 5th year anniversary of that. Congressman Steve Scalise got shot. If that guy had his way, high-powered rifle, hundreds of rounds fired, and he was able to kill enough people, because it was all Republicans, he could have changed the balance of power. There was no screaming and crying about the oh my God, the threat to democracy and the idea of overturning an election, which is exactly what he would have been doing by killing people.
Yeah, and to me, that's an insurrection. And Paul Ryan stood on the floor of the House and said an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. Well, they seem to lost that bit of camaraderie in this situation. But, they put forward a bill that they sent over to the Senate to have a commission that was going to be looking at the catastrophic security failure. And the Senate said, no, we've already got law enforcement to do that, and I don't think we need to do that. But they have turned this in. So they came back and said, well, we'll just do one in the House. And I went to Rules Committee where you can offer amendments still, although they've limited us on that. You could offer amendments. And I went and I said, well, if you're serious about the physical structure and those who work in it and protecting them, then let's take a look at the events of June 14th, 2017, where Capitol Police did save our life. No doubt about it. 136 rounds were fired during that event. Let's take a look at those events so we can continue to look at how we're postured and how we plan and what we do with intelligence before an event so that we are prepared. And they rejected that on party lines.
Party lines.
Just said, no, forget that event. Forget that. This is all about
so much for all for one, one for all.
Yeah.
When it comes to security. Well, let's put that into a very, very pressing concern right here. I'm sure you've seen the threats from this Jane's Revenge. I'm sure you've heard about all the violent actions, the burning of these pregnancy crisis centers where women who aren't interested in getting an abortion can get care and information and a little assistance. I don't know why they've chosen those organizations to go after, but this manifesto and this release that they sent out talking about violence. I mean, they are planning a day of rage, I believe, as they talked to about it. Merrick Garland looking into this at all by any chance, Congressman?
I haven't heard anything, and there are posters up around D.C., and, violence is the problem, and it only seems to be one-sided in their mind. Otherwise, they ignore it. And, the gun control stuff and some really sad events have taken place. There's no doubt about it. And that's inarguable. But if you are only going to look at guns and laws that you might pass and make you feel good because you passed some law, the bottom line is criminals don't obey laws. Murder's already against the law, yet it happens. And so if you're only going to look at that and think of passing a gun law is going to make a difference, that's intellectually lazy. It is extremely lazy, and it's not a benefit to society at all. But that's what we see, time and time again, just coming out of Washington is, well, we need to pass a law. We need to pass a law. It's the wrong debate. Violence is the debate. Murder is the debate. And evil, and, when it comes to this evil, is it the action you're against? Or is it the object you're against? It seems to be the object is the only thing you're against, and not so much the action. And they keep saying common sense gun laws. Well, I will tell you as a physician, here's what's common sense. If you don't take a look at the events in someone's life that then leads to the thoughts and feelings about this type of murderous behavior, you're wasting your time, because that's the origin of the problem. So what is it? What are the common denominators amongst the people that commit these types of crimes? That it would make you say it's okay to go out and kill innocent children. What motivates you? And at the same time, what would deter you? I'm all for hardening facilities, things like that. But, and having a self-defense and what the best practices for that. But what factors led to the crime? Is it an absence of God, or is climate your God now? And so anything you do is fine as long as you haven't harmed the climate?
Abortion is your God, and therefore it makes it okay to go after clinics that don't provide abortion.
Is it a breakdown of a family? Is it a lack of personal responsibility? I mean, right versus wrong seems to be very cloudy in a lot of people's minds these days. And so what are the morals, values, and virtues? Where have they gone? And you talk about people wanting to defund the police. That's an absence of law and order. You just want mayhem. And what do we get? We get an increase in crime. 16 cities in America had more homicides last year than ever before. Democrat-controlled cities, if I do throw that in. One more thing. In the district that I represent, the community was not against having the 10 Commandments in front of their school. But the ACLU and the left came in and made them take it down. So what we are saying in our society today is you can't put "thou shalt not kill" in front of your school.
But that is a law in the books in every state. I mean, seriously,
yeah.
You can't murder somebody. Every state in the union. And
yes.
It's also a federal hate crime if you do it in the name of hating someone because of their race, creed, or religion. But you can't read it in the form within the 10 Commandments, "thou shalt not kill," even though that is law.
Yeah. Isn't it bizarre? If you put it in a biblical reference, you no longer can do that. And we got to look at our mental health institutions. We had problems with our institutions 40, 50 years ago, but we took a 180-degree turn. We just put people out on the street. We should have, made a little bend in how we were doing things. And some of that stuff is starting to take place. But otherwise, you ignore all these things, it's just doomed to repeat itself.
Congressman Brad Wenstrup, appreciate you making the effort to come in the studio. It's always a pleasure talking with you face to face, but even if it's on the phone, it's great having you on the 55 KRC Morning Show. I will keep my fingers crossed, as I know you are, for the November election. And I did take a poll from Congressman Wenstrup. I said, can you gauge the mood among the Democrats on Capitol Hill right now? And
it's low.
Their
morale is very low.
Their morale is good. It's about time.
And they realize most of it, well, if not all of it, self-inflicted.
Amen to that. That's one thing we can all agree on. Folks, stick around. Christopher Smith will join the program next.